Hello yogis. This video is going to be focused on twists. So if you followed any of the other intro yoga classes, we know it's not specifically for beginners. So if you're just looking to refresh your yoga practice, add on to your home practice, or perhaps focus on certain parts of the body, so each video will be sort of focusing on a different set of postures, this video is going to be focusing on twists. So if you're into the twisty mood, I love twists. They're one of my favorite postures to do. I find the most effect in my body and the most release in my body when I've twisted myself all up in different shapes and been able to wring myself out. So to begin our twists, I would love for us to all to come down onto our yoga mats or come onto the floor. So I'm going to join you there. I'm going to come all the way down here. And we're going to come all the way onto our backs, bringing our knees to chest when we get there. So just drawing those knees in toward the belly, toward the center of the body, the chest. Maybe we find it feels nice to have the knees open slightly, just to give yourself a little bit of room for the belly and the chest and whatever else we need room for. Maybe close the eyes here and just hold onto the outsides of the legs, maybe underneath on the thigh or maybe above on our shin bone. Just kind of gently using the weight of the arms to draw the knees toward your chest. And we'll take a couple breaths here, nice and easy. Just becoming a little acquainted with our body. If it feels nice to wrap the arms around the legs, feel free to do that to secure. To kind of snuggle yourself in, to bundle yourself in to a little ball. It may feel nice to perhaps cup the hands and let the knees snuggle into the inside of the elbows, just allowing those knees to fall open ever so slightly to give yourself some room in the center body. Feeling our spine against the ground, feeling the roundness in the spine. As we've brought our knees to chest, we feel a little more curvature in our spine. A little more of it is touching the ground. And just one more nice, long, deep breath here. Wonderful. Let's let go of the knees, let the feet touch down on the ground, and just start to lengthen out the legs away from you, nice and long across the ground. Letting our toes point out, maybe taking the feet a little bit wider, letting those legs externally rotate and open up away from the center line. Bring the arms along our side and let the thumbs roll away from you, the palms face up. And just feeling a lot of space in the center of the body. So just take some time here to notice each side. Notice your left side. Notice your right side. Maybe rocking the head a little bit side to side. And on our next inhale, let's bring our arms over our head, pointing past the crown of our head, and start to point the toes away from the direction of the fingertips. So creating a really long, long line in the body. Really big stretch. See if we can pull the rib cage a little bit higher, a little bit farther away from the hip bones. Feel a little more space in the belly. And on our next exhale, let's gather our knees into the chest. Wrap our arms around, give yourself a nice little squeeze, a nice little hug. And then keeping our knees into chest, letting our arms go and release, maybe over the head. If it feels nice to bend the elbows slightly and just let the backs of the hands rest on the ground, feel free to do that. And squeezing the knees into chest. So we're going to gather our legs together, our feet together, our knees together, as if we have just one leg in the center of the body. Squeezing the knees as tightly into your abdominals as possible, as tightly into your chest as possible. Even maybe imagining bringing the knees or drawing the knees up toward the chin and feeling possibly a little lift in the tail, maybe not. Squeezing it in. And let's try to relax our shoulders and our neck, so maybe a little rocking of the head back and forth again, just to feel softness and relaxation through the neck and shoulders. Let the arms be really, really heavy. Squeeze those knees into chest. Keep that energy going on the lower half of the body, into the abdominals, squeezing in. Let's bring the heels close to our glutes, pointing the toes, and create as much dynamic tension as you possibly can through that lower half, up into the midsection. Squeezing the knees into chest. Take a great big inhale here. Exhale, keep the knees in really tight and just bring them over toward the left side. Still squeezing them in as tight as you can. Use the arms to help you stay nice and balanced on the shoulders. And don't worry too much if the knees don't go all the way to the other side. On our next inhale, squeeze those knees in as tight as you possibly can. And then exhale over to the other side. So over to the right if we went to the left, over to the left if we went to the right. Squeezing them in toward the side body. So maybe the legs hover, maybe they touch down. Next inhale, knees into chest and we'll flow. Big breath in. Exhale over to the left. Inhale through the center. Exhale over to the right. Inhale, center. Keep flowing with your own pace. Exhale over to the side. Inhale through the center. Exhale to the opposite side. Working through our belly twists. Inhale through the center. Exhale. Release. Last time over to the opposite side. Inhale. Reach those knees in toward your chest. And exhale, roll to the side. Inhale back in toward the center. Bring the arms down to wrap around the legs. Release the legs into those arms and just hold the knees to chest. Take a breath. Wonderful. Let's flex through the heels and send the legs up to the sky, lengthening out those legs. Maybe we hold the backs of the legs, maybe we let go. It's totally up to you. Feel free to maybe bend the elbows again and let the hands rest above the head and flexing through those heels. Let's feel the backs of the legs as much as we possibly can. Send those heels up. Maybe start to engage a little bit in our lower abdominals to see if we can't lift into those legs. Can we lift and feel the idea or the sensation of lifting? One more breath. Wonderful. Knees come back into chest. Just take a moment here. Let's plant our feet down on the ground one at a time. Walk them as wide as the yoga mat is or a little wider than our hips, and just start to windshield wipe them side to side. Inhale through the center and exhale, letting them fall to one side. Inhale through the center and letting them fall to the other side. Maybe adding a little push. So as they fall to one side, just gently allow yourself to put energy into those thighs and into the knees to just push them down a little bit toward the ground. So just adding a little more purposeful energy here. Inhale through the center and over, exhale to the other side. Same thing here, maybe just gently pressing the knees and thighs and legs toward that side. Beautiful. Inhale through the center. Let's do one more on each side. Landing over on one side, take a moment. And then inhale through the center and exhale to the other side, taking that moment. Beautiful. Bring the knees back in, scoop them into chest, take a little hug for yourself, a little wrap around, and then maybe cross the legs or roll yourself to one side to press ourselves up into an all fours shape. So maybe we rock ourselves up, coming into a seated, and then maybe we walk over those knees and come into an all fours shape. So let's take a moment to find ourselves in a nice comfy tabletop shape. Bringing our wrists under shoulders and our knees under hips, pressing the ground away with those palms. Just look gently between the thumbs. Feeling a pull on the outer edges, the outer kind of sections of our arms toward the ground, and feeling a little bit of lift and gathering in the inner portion of our chest or into the sternum. Just feeling that little lift in toward the body. Wonderful. Let's just take one more moment here to feel our balance between our palms and our knees, the tops of the feet, or the tucked toes. And then we'll just gently look over to our left shoulder. Just bring the gaze, tuck the chin, have a look over. And then see if we can bring the gaze over to our left foot. Just having a look at that left foot over there. Then maybe we can curve our spine so much that we can peek at our right set of toes, or even just the big toe. Breathing very deeply into the right side of the body, bearing a little extra weight in the left hand. One more nice big breath here. Beauty. Let's come back toward the center. Take a moment to shift the hips. And then we'll press the ground away, have a look toward our right shoulder. Just again, tucking the chin in, looking over at the shoulder, feeling length in the side of the neck on the left side. And then maybe taking the gaze over to our toes, to that little right set of toes. Maybe we can curve a little more so we can peek at our left set of toes. A nice big inhale in the side body here. And then exhale, bring ourselves back to the center. Pressing the ground away again, feeling nice and strong in our upper chest. Let's just start to pull the mat toward you as you lower the belly, lift the tail and the chest forward, coming into our cow pose. And then as we exhale, let's curve our tail in, round the spine and tuck the chin, coming into our cat pose. Beautiful. Inhale, tail comes up, curve in the spine. Lift that chest forward. And exhale, round ourselves in. Tuck the chin, tuck the tail. Let's do 3 more cat-cows at our own pace. Inhale to open. And exhale to gather and come in toward the body. And inhale to open. And exhale to gather. Maybe one more time. Inhale, opening the tail. And exhale, gathering in, rounding the spine. Let's take one extra breath in our cat pose. Let's take an inhale through the back of the body. And an exhale. And coming back to a neutral shape, coming back to our tabletop shape. Still looking between our thumbs, bearing our weight a little bit into the right hand to lift the left arm up to the side. Pressing into the right arm, lifting that left arm really high, lifting the fingertips up toward the ceiling, and still gazing between where the thumbs were. Pressing a little more firmly into our right hand, can we bring the gaze up to our left hand and maybe raise ourselves up a little bit more? Feeling a flare in the top corner of the body, in that left shoulder. Take another inhale here. Exhale to scoop the left arm past the right wrist, coming onto the shoulder just for a moment. Pressing into the right hand to come back up. Big inhale, reach the left hand, watch. Exhale, scoop past the right wrist, come onto the shoulder for a moment. Inhale, press up, lift, take that breath. Exhale, one last time, scooping past the wrist, coming onto the shoulder. And then inhale, pressing up, lifting up high. Beautiful. Resting our left hand back down, finding that tabletop again if we strayed a little bit from it. Looking between the thumbs. Inhale, the right arm comes up. Just lifting that arm up high, looking between where the thumbs were. Just feeling that flare open in the shoulder and the right shoulder. Pressing a little more firm into the left hand. Can we maybe bring the gaze up to the right hand and find ourselves lifting a little bit higher, twisting a little more. Inhale as we lift. Exhale, scooping the right arm past the left wrist, coming onto the shoulder just for a moment. Inhale, lift up. Watch that hand raise all the way up. And exhale, bring it past the left wrist, come onto the right shoulder. Let's just do 2 more. Inhale, lifting up, watch those sets of fingertips come all the way up. And exhale back through, weave yourself through. Last time to raise ourselves back up, reaching that arm up nice and high. And then exhale, planting the palm back down beside the left, shoulder width apart. Take a moment here, settle the hips, sway the hips, press the ground away from you a little bit here. In through the nose, out through the nose. And then we'll go ahead and tuck our toes, bring ourselves up into our downward dog for the first time. So lengthen out those legs, press our hips up and back. Nice long legs, pressing into the pads of our fingers, the heels of the hands, maybe walking the dog a little bit if that feels nice for the dog. Maybe we sway the hips a little bit, we bend the knees a little bit, we feel really open in the chest here, we feel a tilt in our tail, lots of space in the belly. Inhale through the upper chest, lift the rib cage away from the hips. Exhale, scoop the belly in and tilt the tail a little more. Beautiful. Let's look between our thumbs. Inhale, walk ourselves toward the top of our mat or toward our hands, coming into a forward fold shape. So maybe a really generous bend in the knees. Maybe we let our torso fall really heavy, shaking the head no, no, no. And yes, 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 if that feels nice. And inhale, a halfway lift, lifting the ribcage away from the hips. Exhale, the belly comes in and we fold ourselves back down. Inhale to rise, big tall stretch. Arms come up above the head, reach those fingertips up. Exhale, bringing the hands back to the center of the chest. Beautiful. Another big reach. Inhale, arms come up with us. And exhale, hands to heart center. One more nice big sun breath. Inhale, reach up, big reach. Exhale, forward fold, soft knees, hinge the hips, allow yourself to come all the way down, release the neck and the shoulders, the arms, maybe lengthening out the legs, breathing into the upper chest, scooping the belly in, feeling a little more of a forward fold. Wonderful. Bringing our feet a little wider than our hips. So just heel toe your feet a little bit wider, perhaps just on the inside of the yoga mat. Soften the knees, let ourselves hinge down. And inhale, a half lift. Bring the hands to our shins. Bring the rib cage out away from the hips, big breath in. Exhale, staying in this shape, in this 90-degree shape. See if we can bring our fingertips down toward the ground. So just kind of tickling the fingers on the ground or a little bend in the knees so you can touch a little better. Bring your hands into prayer. The pointer fingers, the middle fingers, we're going to point them into the center of our bend, so about a 90-degree here. Tickling the ground with our left set of fingertips, dragging our right hand up our left arm, up our chest, and then reaching that arm up toward the ceiling. Beautiful. If the fist reaches the ground, it might feel a little more secure to plant the fist and reach up a little more into your twist, or the fingertips, or just the tip of the middle finger if we need a little more height. Beautiful. Bending that right elbow, dragging that arm back down, releasing the fingertips to the ground. Let's replace the left fingertips with the right set of fingertips. Reaching up, feeling really tall, send our hips behind ourselves, rib cage forward. Either find fingertips or fists or a little bit of support, maybe a little block. And we'll drag our left hand up our right arm, up the chest, reaching up and coming into that twist. Reaching our left set of fingertips up toward the sky. Pressing down through our right set of fingertips. Maybe we tent those fingertips. Maybe we have enough room for a fist. And just one more breath here. Nice big breath. Beautiful. Bending the left elbow. Drag the arm down all the way down. Coming up to a half lift, inhale. And exhale to release into forward fold. Soften out everything you can coming into this fold. Wonderful. Bringing our feet back into hip width apart, so just heel toeing them back in a little bit. Inhale, a half lift. Exhale to bend the knees so much that we can plant our palms both down on the ground, stepping back with the right foot. Stepping all the way back with the right foot, and then allowing the right knee to come down to the ground. Wonderful. Framing the front foot. Keeping the leg nice and wide, let's come up onto the fingertips. Lift the chest nice and high, lengthen out the spine, send the shoulders away from the ears. Take a nice big breath here. Beautiful. Another big breath here, feeling length. And then bringing our left arm on the inside of the left leg. So let's wiggle the left leg out a little bit to the edge of the mat. Bring the palms underneath the shoulders, coming into sort of a lizard lunge with a nice support in the back. You can feel free to press into the top of the foot or tuck the toe. That's totally up to you. Planting through the right hand, lifting the left arm up toward the sky. Coming into a nice supported twist here. Nice kneeling lunge. Press nice and firm into our right hand. Lift as high up with your left set of fingertips as you possibly can. Opening up the belly, planting really firm into that left foot. Push into the left foot. Push and balance into the knee in the back, into the top of the foot, or the tucked toes, and take one more breath here and twist. Creating a paddle with the hand. So if our fingertips are separated, we're just bringing the fingertips together, pointing our middle finger and the pointed fingers toward our heel. So just a nice long line. And then inhale to roll that shoulder forward, to wrap that arm around and come all the way back to the front, planting the palms underneath the shoulder. Tucking our toes in the right side if we hadn't already, lifting up the knee and stepping back to downward dog. Let's pedal the heels, take a moment here. Let's inhale, look between our thumbs, hop or step toward the hands, coming into a forward fold. Release the upper body, release the arms and the neck and the shoulders. And coming up a half lift, lifting that upper rib cage away from our hips, big breath. And then exhale to fold nice and deep. Let's fold so deep we can plant our palms, and we'll step our left foot back for our lunge. Great big step back, lowering the left knee when you feel comfortable. Opening up the right foot a little bit wider. Coming up on the fingertips, lengthening out the spine. So we're still framing the front foot, reaching our heart forward, shoulders away from the ears. Nice big breath here. And we'll take a second breath here to feel that length, to feel maybe a little more sinking in our hips. Wonderful. Bringing the arms on the inside of the right foot, so we'll wiggle that foot out just a little bit, keeping it inside of the yoga mat or inside of that line. Making sure that our wrists are under shoulders, planting through the left hand, reaching up the right arm toward the ceiling this time. So coming into just the opposite side twist. Maybe we look up, maybe we look down, whatever feels interesting for you. Pressing through that left hand, reaching up as much as we can. Inhale, exhale. Feel everything come in toward the center to help you twist. Feel that hip lower a little bit. And then bringing the fingertips together as if we have a little paddle for a hand, pointing those fingertips toward our heel or toward the back of the mat, opening up the shoulder. One more nice breath pointing back. And then inhale, reaching that arm back forward, coming onto the inside of that front foot, so inside of the right foot. Tucking our left set of toes if they aren't already, lifting up the knee, and we'll step back to a downward dog. Feel free to take a moment to pedal here, a moment to sway, pressing into the heels of the hand, lengthening out the tail behind you. Inhale through the upper chest and exhale to scoop that belly in. See if we can tilt our tail a little more. Wonderful. Let's go through a little vinyasa flow here. Coming forward into a plank shape, shoulders over wrists. Pressing the ground away. We can always lower the knees here if you'd like to, but we're just going to take one more nice big breath. Beautiful. Exhale, pushing through. Find resistance in those wrists a little bit so we can bend the elbows and draw them in tight toward the rib cage. Coming down to the belly, unflip our toes, pull the mat toward you or push it away a little bit, and then pull it toward you to open up into a back bend. Exhale to lower ourselves back down, tuck the toes, come up and back to downward dog. Pedal those heels. Take a moment here. Wonderful. In through the nose, out through the nose. Another big breath. Wonderful. Have a look between our thumbs. We'll hop our step to forward fold, coming back to the top of our mat, bringing our feet hip width apart, coming up into a half lift on our inhale. And exhale to fold forward, soften those knees. Inhale to come up into your chair. Shift the weight a little bit into the heels, hinging at the hips and bending the knees, reaching our arms forward, biceps along the same line as our ears, so we can really open up the shoulders and feel that whole line of the back body. Tail to fingertips, exhale to fold. Inhale, half lift, and exhale, fold forward. Inhale, big, tall stretch. Come all the way up. Reach those fingertips above the head and exhale through the heart center. Inhale, reach up. Arms reach up above the head again. And exhale, hands to heart center. Soften the knees. Come into your chair shape. Hinging those hips, reaching the arms forward. Just as if we've wanted to take a seat and someone just took the chair away from us. Bringing the hands down in toward the sternum to the heart center. Let's have a look over to our left shoulder. And again, just have a little peek and see where it is. Keeping our knees nice and parallel and in line with one another. Maybe we take our torso over to the left side as well. A little twist here. Finding maybe a little bit of hooking on the outside of the right elbow. So coming onto the outside of the left thigh with the outside of the right arm. Pressing those palms in toward each other, keeping the knees parallel with each other, so noticing maybe if that right knee comes out, let's bring it back in line with the left. If you find the bone in the right arm just simply isn't long enough to hook, let's open up the wings. Take one more nice breath here. Beauty, hands back to our heart center. Let's come into our forward fold. Release yourself down. Inhale, a half lift. Exhale, belly in and fold. Inhale, long, tall stretch. Reach up as high as you can. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, reach up as high as you can, arms up. Exhale, hands to heart. Hinge the hips. Come into your chair pose. Bend those knees. Sit back as if you were just about to take a seat. The toes should feel pretty light in the front. Let's have a look to our right shoulder. Just tuck in, have a look. And then maybe turning our sternum a little bit in that direction just to notice how we feel here first. Keeping an eye on our knees, making sure they stay parallel with one another. And then maybe tucking the back of the left arm on the outside of the right thigh. Pressing those palms together, coming into this twist here. If we find that our bone isn't quite long enough, if it's not quite long enough on the other side, maybe it's not quite long enough on this side either, we can open up the arms. Just to give yourself a little hook for the twist. One more breath. Beautiful. Inhale toward the center and exhale to forward fold. Soften those knees. Maybe hold on to opposite elbows. Shaking the head, no, no, no. And yes, yes, yes. 2 more breaths here just for you. Wonderful. Release the fingertips down toward the ground. Inhale, a half lift through that ribcage, the top of the ribcage, big breath. Exhale, belly in and fold. Inhale, rise. Arms come all the way up overhead. Reach above yourself. And exhale, hands in toward the center of the chest. Wonderful. Let's go ahead and shift our weight a little bit into the right leg to lift up the left knee and step it behind ourselves in a nice tall lunge. So we're going to hook our back foot. Make sure we feel that the right knee is over top of the right ankle. We feel really secure here. We're pushing through the ball of the foot in the left foot, pressing back to engage our glutes, to feel the quad come in toward the body a little bit more integrity in that leg. Hands toward the center of the chest. And just take a moment here. Let's get a grip of the mat with our feet and kind of pull the mat apart from itself. So you feel a grip down and a pull apart. Wonderful. Arms come up above our head. Reach as tall as you can with those fingertips. Push through the ball of the foot in the back. Feel a really open space in between our hips and our ribs, especially on the left side. Lifting up, relaxing shoulders, but lifting at the same time. Beautiful. Next, inhale. We'll twist ourselves toward our right knee. So we're going to open up our arms to shoulder height. Twist ourselves over in the direction of the right knee. Sinking in to the knee, sinking into the hips, gathering everything in toward the center of the body while still twisting. So we inhale, let's try to lift our rib cage up really high, relax the shoulders, and then exhale, twist into the space. One more, inhale, rib cage high, exhale, twist into that space. Beautiful. Inhale, arms come back up toward the ceiling as we bring ourselves back to face the front. Exhale, hands toward the heart center. Wonderful. Let's go ahead and bring our hands all the way down toward the ground. Step on back to a downward dog shape. Pedal the heels. Take a moment for yourself. A couple breaths here. Looking between our thumbs, let's hop our step toward those hands into a forward fold shape. Releasing our front body, releasing our arms and our neck and shoulders. Inhale, a half lift into the upper chest. Exhale, belly in and fold. Inhale, rise, arms come all the way above the head. Exhale, hands into the heart center. Beautiful. Shifting our weight into the left leg this time, lifting up the right knee, taking a great big step back into a lunge, bending the front knee, finding a hook in the foot in the back. And again, just taking a moment here for yourself in this lunge, feeling structure, feeling integrity. The knee over the ankle and the front foot, pushing through the ball of the back foot, feeling that hug in with the quad muscle, feeling a little more engagement in our glute as well. Wonderful. Getting a grip of the mat with our feet and pulling them apart from each other. So feeling just a little more stability. Inhale, arms raise up above the head. Lift the rib cage along with those fingertips. Find space. Feel grounded and lifted at the same time. One more, reaching up. Exhale, twisting over toward the left knee, toward the left side of the body, pointing our fingertips in either direction. Relaxing the shoulders, lifting the ribs. So inhale, lift the rib cage up high. Exhale, twist a little deeper. Use the space. Inhale. Exhale, twist a little more. Beautiful. Inhale, arms come up toward the ceiling as we bring ourselves back to center. Release the arms. Walk on back, step on back to downward dog. Pedal the heels, take a moment here, and then we'll just take a little quick vinyasa flow and come back to our down dog. So let's inhale, come forward to our plank pose. Exhale, push down, release to the belly. Inhale, a back bend of your choice. And exhale, release down to earth, tuck the toes, come up and back to down dog. Beautiful. Let's go ahead and plant down in those heels. So maybe we need to walk the feet in a little bit to feel more secure in the heels. Maybe the heels hover above the ground very slightly. Pushing into the pads of the fingers, the pads of the hands, lengthening out those arms. Finding space between the hips and the ribs. So maybe we can kind of consciously find out where those hips are and push them back behind ourselves. Finding length here. Let's have a look at our left ankle. Just tuck the chin in, have a look at it. Notice where it is. Shift our weight ever so slightly into the left hand and see if we can reach to that ankle with our right hand. Maybe to the outside, maybe to the inside. Just having a little hook, and maybe just above. We're just going to avoid the knee. Pushing into that left hand, allowing that arm to be pulled away from the left leg, the right arm. One more here. Just enjoying the strange twist here, feeling it in the shoulder. Maybe you're feeling it somewhere else.
Beautiful. Next inhale, let's release the right hand, place it back down beside the left. Take a moment, maybe bend the knees, shift the hips. And then we'll have a look at our right ankle. Just have a look at it, notice where it is. And then maybe we reach for it with our left hand, maybe the inside of the ankle or the outside, or just above a little bit, but avoiding the knee if we can. Pushing in through the through the right hand. And feeling a pull through the left shoulder. One more here. When we're ready, or your next inhale, releasing the left hand back to where it was, paddle the heels, take a moment here. And then we'll go ahead and bring the knees down underneath the hips. Let the hips sink back toward the heels, untuck the toes, and come into a child's pose shape. Maybe the knees are closed together to support the low back. Maybe they're widened up so that we can kind of wiggle into our hips a little bit. Feel free to release the neck and shoulders. And just take a couple breaths for yourself. Letting our body weight release down toward the earth. Maybe this isn't a restful pose for you, so maybe this is more of an active pose. Feel free to sway the hips back and forth. If the forehead has contact with something, maybe it feels nice to rock the forehead across the ground or across your hands. But just take a moment to check in with yourself here. To notice whatever is going on in your body. Beautiful. Let's walk our hands toward ourselves, come into a heel sit. So let's bring our knees a little closer, bring ourselves up off of our bums a little bit to tuck the toes. And I know this isn't the most comfortable position to have the toes tucked and to sit back on the heels. We're only going to take a few breaths here. So really just noticing what we can kind of unwind, what we can unstick, and what we can stretch out. So just allow the weight of your body to fall into your heels, into your toes, sitting on your heels, finding a tall spine. So finding our shoulders over our hips, our ears over our shoulders, maybe close the eyes, and just stretching through those toes. One more nice big breath here. Coming up onto the knees on the next inhale, bring our arms up with us. Big reach. And exhale, hands toward the sternum, toward the center of the chest. Inhale, arms up. We'll keep them lifted. Arms in line with our ears. Reach up, relax the shoulders. Feel a little broadness. Bend the elbows ever so slightly and squeeze the shoulder blades back toward one another. Good. Inhale, arms toward the ears, so lengthening out those arms. Exhale, opening the arms up and twisting ourselves over to the left. So opening our arms up shoulder height like we did before in our lunge, and we're just going to bring our gaze toward the side of the mat. Another big breath here to lift the rib cage. And then maybe exhale, we look beyond the left middle finger, pointing the right middle finger forward, the left middle finger back. Let's stay for 2 more breaths here. Push the left fingertips away, feel space between the shoulders. Also the inhale to lift the rib cage up. Exhale to see if we can give in and maybe take up some of that space. Next inhale, bring the arms up as we pivot ourselves forward. And then exhale as we turn ourselves over to the right side, opening up the arms shoulder height. Inhale to lift the rib cage high. Exhale, maybe to twist a little more, bringing the gaze beyond our right middle finger toward the back. And one more time, inhale to lift the rib cage. Exhale to twist. Inhale, arms come up toward the center as we pivot ourselves toward the front. And exhale, hands toward the heart center. Beautiful. Let's go ahead and untuck the toes, come onto our hands and knees in a tabletop, and maybe just paddle out the tops of the feet a little bit. So if you feel a little bit of tension, we'll just paddle them out. Beautiful. Getting rid of any kind of lactic acid that might have built up a little bit. Beautiful. Let's go ahead and tuck our toes. Come on up and back to a downward dog. Lift those legs up nice and long. Wonderful. Let's go ahead and inhale, lift our left leg up and back. Reaching through the ball of the foot. Push through the heels of the hands. Let's take one full breath here in a three-legged dog. Next, exhale, bring the knee in toward the chest, step through toward those hands, and come into a lunge shape for a moment. Come up on the fingertips, take an inhale to lift the ribcage forward. And then exhale to pivot the left foot to plant the heel down, come up into Warrior One, and spin ourselves open into Warrior Two, facing the side of the mat. Check in on your feet. Notice what feels right for you. Maybe heel to heel, maybe heel to the center of the foot in the back foot. Beautiful. Bending nice and deep into our hips, still feeling nice and structurally safe and sound here. So sometimes in our Warrior Two, it's really tempting, I'll show you here, it's really tempting to walk the feet really wide and get really, really deep here. But we lose a little bit of integrity here, a little bit of structural integrity. So we feel ourselves kind of loose and not a lot of support here and not a lot of control. So let's bring the foot in a little more. Bring the knee over the ankle, feel strong. Bringing our left shoulder back a little bit to open up the chest to the side of the mat, to the long side of the mat. Let's reverse our warrior. Inhale, scoop our right arm up to the ceiling, rest the left hand. Beautiful. Take another inhale here, reaching up. Exhale, coming into our extended angle. So let's bring our right forearm on top of our right leg and bring the left fingertips up to the sky. If we are flexible enough or feel today is the day, bringing our left hand or right hand down toward the ground. Planting through the fists, the hand, the fingertips. Pressing the right leg into the right arm to open up a little bit here. Feel that right knee hug in. Feel the rib cage lift open and the left shoulder spin open as well. Beautiful. Coming back up to Warrior Two, arms to shoulder height. Straightening out the front knee. Turn the front palm, so our right palm. So reach ourselves as far forward as humanly possible, sending the left hip back, and then allow your body to tilt down when it's ready, coming into a triangle shape. Lifting the left set of fingertips up and reaching the right set of fingertips down. Maybe they touch down, maybe we're up a little higher like this, bringing the hand just on the inside of the calf. Just do what feels right for you, maybe a little lower. We'll take 2 more breaths. One more here. Beautiful. Reaching up to Warrior Two, bending in through that front knee. Wonderful. Straightening out the front leg. We'll turn the toes to face the long end of the mat. Bring the arms up above the head and hands into the heart center. Turning out our left set of fingertips to the other side and coming into a Warrior Two on the left side. So again, find a nice safe distance for your legs. Notice what feels strong to you. Beautiful, arms to shoulder height, pointing the fingertips out, letting our right shoulder come back a little bit to open up the chest to the long end of the mat. Feeling wide in our hips, feeling lots of space across our pelvis. Pressing into the ground with our feet, and maybe even experimenting by pulling them toward each other to feel a little more integrity as well. Let's inhale, scoop ourselves back to reverse warrior, bringing our left arm up, resting the right fingertips down and the right arm down. We'll take a full extra breath here. Beautiful. Next breath, come down toward your extended angle. So maybe the forearm rests on top of the thigh. The right fingertips reach into the sky. Maybe today's the day where we bring our hand down to the ground. Fist, fingertips, palm, whatever feels interesting, necessary, needed for your body today. Beautiful. Inhale, coming back to our warrior two, arms at shoulder height. Starting to straighten out that front knee, turn the front palm, reach as far forward as humanly possible. Sending the right hip back, and just allow your body to pivot down, to tilt down when it feels ready, when it feels like that's the spot. Opening up the right shoulder. Bringing the left arm on the inside of the left leg. So maybe we touch down, maybe we don't, maybe it's a little bit higher like this. And then we'll take just another breath or so here in our triangle pose. Opening up the shoulder, feeling wide space across our hips and across our pelvis. Wonderful. Pressing into the legs. Let's come on back up, arms to shoulder height. Bend into the front knee a little bit just to ease it off. And then straighten the leg. We'll turn the toes toward the long end of the mat. Bring the arms above the head and exhale, hands into the heart center. With the legs nice and wide, let's start to turn the toes to point to the long end of the mat. Turn them in ever so slightly. So our idea is to frame the outsides of our feet with the small or short ends of the mat. Arms up with us, big reach. And then exhale, arms in line with our ears as we exhale and fold. Send the bum behind you, send the rib cage forward, nice long back, and allow yourself to slowly fold down into a nice wide-legged forward fold. Release the head, the neck, the shoulders. Feel the weight through the upper chest, through the arms. That little tug through the back. Beautiful. Pushing into the balls of our feet. And kind of getting a grip of the mat again and pulling it away from itself a little bit. So we're kind of imagining as if we're tearing the mat apart with our feet. Feeling a little more widening through the back of the legs, a little more length through the back of the legs. You may also feel a little bit of the glute muscles start to widen open just ever so slightly. Coming up onto our fingertips into sort of a half lift. So bringing our hands into a prayer shape like we did before, lifting ourselves up, pressing our feet into the ground and pulling them apart a little bit so we have some structure through the back of the legs. Bringing our left fingertips toward the center. Let's drag our right set of fingertips up our left arm, up the chest, and then up to the sky. Maybe we release the left fist toward the ground and you can find a nice grip and then pull yourself open, twist a little more. Maybe fingertips or maybe a prop to bring yourself a little bit higher. Just taking 2 more breaths here. Remembering to press into the ground with the feet and pull them apart from each other a little bit so we can keep the hips in line where they started. We could look up toward that extended arm, or we could look down to our planted palm or fist or fingertips. One more nice big breath, rib cage away from hips. Exhale to bend our right arm, right elbow, bring the hand down nice and gentle. Beautiful, switch hands, placing the right set of fingertips in the center of the mat, reaching and dragging the left set of fingertips up the right arm, up the chest, and then up toward the ceiling. Pressing in through the mat with our feet and pulling them apart so we can keep the hips where they started. Maybe you found a fist here instead, maybe fingertips or tented hand. We could look down or up, depending on what you need. One more breath here. Let's bend the left elbow, bring the arm down all the way and take a moment really heavy in your wide-legged fold. Wonderful. Let's go ahead and come up onto our fingertips. Walk ourselves toward the inside of the left foot so we can find the right foot. Let's do the right foot. Walk toward the right foot, toward the inside, finding the right heel, pivoting the foot to face the short end of the mat, and just allow yourself to walk into a lunge. So bending into the right knee, anchoring into the left ball of the foot, finding ourselves at the top of our mat and into a nice low lunge. Feel free to release the left knee if you need to. Just taking a moment here to breathe. Letting the hips sink. If the knee is not planted, feel free to bring the left knee down now. So we'll all bring our left knees down. Feel that extra special stretch in the inside of the hip. And then we'll go ahead and push into our palms to glide our hips back. Just enough so we feel a little length in the front leg, little length in the arms. Press the ground away from you. Maybe fingertips, maybe palms. And then gliding back forward. Let's pick up our left knee, tucking into our toes, step back to a down dog. Pedal out the heels, take a moment here. Beautiful. Looking between our thumbs, let's hop our step to a forward fold. Come on into your forward fold, let that upper body rest, the arms and shoulders rest. And then bending the knees so much so we can step our right foot back and come into that lunge. Finding the ball of the foot, finding the fingertips or palms, or maybe fists. We could lower the knee if we want to. Just take another breath up high if you'd like to try. And then lowering the right knee, we'll all lower our right knees down toward the ground. Let the hips sink into the ground, toward the ground. Just releasing any tension inside of those hips. Take an extra breath. Wonderful. Let's glide our hips back. Pressing our hands away, pressing either the palms in the ground or the fingertips. Just feeling space in the shoulders. Breathing through the back body. And then gliding ourselves back forward. Let's go ahead and scoop the right or the left knee back, bringing the knees in line with each other, bringing the palms in and underneath the shoulders, coming into a tabletop shape. Press the ground away with those palms. Make circles with our body. So imagine we are drawing circles across the ground with our belly buttons. One direction, and then the other direction. Wonderful. Scooping our knees to the side and lengthening the legs in front of the body, coming into a staff shape. So finding a comfortable seat here with the legs extended. Moving away some fleshy spots from our bums just so we can feel a little more anchoring and a little more connection through our sit bones and toward the ground. Feel our heels touch down, then press into the backs of the knees to feel the lift in the chest, to feel the rib cage kind of reach away from the hips ever so slightly. Let's take a nice breath here. And then drawing in the left knee, let's bend the left knee, bring in the left foot onto the inside of the right leg, clasping or interlacing the fingers onto the left shin, and just reaching the torso up nice and high. Flexing through the right heel, feeling really tall in the spine here. Now we can keep the knee or the foot on the inside of the right leg, or we can cross over the right leg a little bit to feel just a little more into the hips. Again, interlacing the fingers to create some length in the spine, a little bit of tallness here. Beautiful. Reaching your left arm around that left leg. The right arm comes up toward the sky. Notice and feel anything there is to notice and feel. Squeezing in the left knee with the forearm and just reaching up high. Lifting the rib cage toward the knee and up toward the ceiling. And then releasing that right arm down. Let's go ahead and cross the other way. First, bring the right knee in as you bend the knee. Bring the right foot on toward the inside of the left leg. Interlace the fingers and just lift the rib cage up high. Flexing through the left heel. Just feeling tall in the spine. Now keeping the foot on the inside of the leg if this feels nice to twist into, or crossing over. Wrapping the right arm around the right leg, just kind of squeezing in with the forearm and reaching the left arm up into the sky. So again, all we're doing here is lifting the rib cage, the heart, squeezing everything in, flexing everything in, feeling just a really, really gentle twist in our hips. Beautiful. Release the left arm, uncross the right leg, bring the feet a little bit wider, so bringing them about maybe a little wider than the hips, maybe the width of our yoga mat if we've got one. Arms come up with us, again, reaching the rib cage up, press the kneecaps or the backs of the knees in toward the ground. Wonderful. Pivoting ourselves toward the left side, opening our arms to shoulder height. Pressing into the heels, lengthening out through the legs, pressing through those fingertips, reaching the rib cage with the inhale. Exhale to twist a little more. And inhale to reach those arms up. Exhale, we'll pivot ourselves over to the right side this time, arms at shoulder height. Press those fingers away. Lift the rib cage, inhale. Exhale, use and take up that space. Inhale, lift. Exhale. Inhale, arms up toward the center, toward the ceiling, back toward the center, and hands in toward the center of our chest. Let's bend the knees, bring the soles of the feet to touch, and just make some circles in those hips. One direction and the other. Closing our knees like a book. Let's come back onto our backs like we began. Bring the knees in toward the chest. And just give yourself a nice little hug. A little rock back and forth. A little softness for yourself. Maybe circles with those knees. One direction and the other. We'll let our feet touch down, walk them a little bit wider, and let the knees drape in toward each other, kind of tenting in. Close the eyes. And take a nice breath here, slow, steady, peaceful. Working our way into our Shavasana, our final relaxation. So if there's anything extra you need here, add it into your shape. But if this feels perfect, let's stay exactly where we are, just for a few minutes. And I promise I'll bring you back when it's time to come back. And staying exactly where we landed. Just taking a breath for yourself in this space that you have created. To find a little bit of movement in the body, maybe a little wiggle of the fingers and toes to begin. Lengthening out the legs, bringing the arms overhead, pointing the fingers away from the toes, a nice long stretch. And then drawing the knees into chest, take a moment, roll onto your right side. And pressing yourself up to a seated shape when you feel ready for it. And any seated shape will do. We'll just sit up nice and tall. I invite you to place one of your hands on your belly and one of your hands on your heart or on your chest. And take a full breath in, fill up as much as you can. And let it go. My heart is at ease, knowing what's meant for me will not pass me by, and what passes me by was not meant for me. Let's bring our arms up, one last big sun breath to close our practice together. Bring our hands down to the center of the chest. The light and the love in me truly honors the light and the love in you. Namaste.